Okay, let's go ahead and start with our post-race for the 55th annual Daytona 500 championship team, and that's the 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. And our crew chief, our winning crew chief, our championship crew chief is here, Chad Knaus. And Chad, congratulations. I know this has got to be one of the biggest wins of your career.
Yeah, most definitely. It's, again, we can't be blinded by the effects of what we had yesterday during that nationwide race. I really hope those fans are okay. I know a bunch of them were probably planning on being here today and wish they could have been here to have rooted the 48 car on to victory lane. But, an awful lot of effort went into, from everybody's part, to be quite honest with you, from NASCAR to all the teams to get prepared for the Daytona 500 this year with the Gen 6 car. A lot of work and a huge effort by the racing community as a whole. And I think it was a great race. It was a lot of fun, and man, it's pretty awesome to be able to win it. So hey, everybody look. I just got into Instagram, so everybody say hi. Come on. Hi. I'll post that out there for all of you guys to see. That's great. Thanks.
Jack and now
I'm private.
Social media.
It's small. It's small.
We'll take questions right now. We'll start. Let's go with Jenna, and then we'll move up to Stan, and then Doug.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Congratulations, Chad.
Thank you.
Jimmie has talked a lot in the past, or maybe not a lot, but he's mentioned how one of the few things that the team would like to accomplish is to win a Daytona 500 with you here.
I knew that was coming out of you. Just knew it.
I didn't mean it to be from me. But, I mean, was that something that meant as much to you as it did to Jimmie and the other guys?
Yeah, it really is. As you guys know, I eat, sleep, and breathe 48, and anytime that I'm taken away from that race car, I'm pretty sad. And but when those guys were able to come down here and win the Daytona 500 in 2006 in my absence, I think that really solidified the strength of the 48 car. Was I here? No. Was I here in spirit? Most definitely. And I couldn't have been prouder of the group of guys that we had there. So to finally be able to come down here and win and be a part of this is definitely a huge dream come true. Mostly so David Newton doesn't keep asking me about it. But it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a great experience. And I just couldn't be prouder of everybody involved.
Thank you very much, Chad. And before we take further questions, we are now joined by team owner Rick Hendrick and our championship driver, Jimmie Johnson. He becomes the 10th driver to win multiple Daytona 500s, and he wins his second Daytona 500 and his 400th career start, 61st victory in the Sprint Cup Series. Congratulations, Jimmie Johnson. How does it feel to win the 55th annual Daytona 500?
It is just awesome. There's no other way to describe it. 400 starts. Every one of those starts with Lowe's and Hendrick Motorsports.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Got a little material left over. To be the first to win the Gen 6 in a Gen 6 car, and that car is a Chevrolet, a Chevy SS. Just a very, very proud moment. Plate racing, as we all know in here, has been a little tough on the 48 for the last few years. So I'm happy to get through it all, and just a strong race car. I feel like the speed our car had in it allowed me to really have control of the race there late, and I felt like I was sitting on something all day, and was just ready to have some fun when it counted, and it did.
Thank you, Jimmie. And Rick Hendrick, congratulations on this win. And just talk about, as a team owner and your entire organization, Hendrick Motorsports, what it means to win a race of this significance.
Well, we've this is the Super Bowl of all the racing, and I remember the first one, and every one of them has been special, and but we've had a dry spell down here. It's been, I think, was it 06, and this is our 7th one now, and you can be in front going into 3, and you never make it back to the line. So I was really happy today to see our cars be able to run 1-2. So it's a great feeling. It gives you a lot of momentum to start the year.
All right, let's go back to questions. Stan's got one. We'll come over here to Mark and then Mike and then go press box.
Stan Creekmore with RPM tonight. Chad, when we talked on the media tour, you very clearly hinted that you felt you had something that was going to give you the best opportunity to be in victory lane at the end of that race. Back then, you didn't want to talk about exactly what it was. What do you think you had today that really gave you all this victory?
I think it was Jimmie Johnson. Quite honestly, Jimmie did a great job today, and you know we work really hard at Hendrick Motorsports to prepare for the super speedway races, and we put a great product out there. I'm telling you, we worked. I know we worked at least 35 days straight on the car that we raced in the Daytona 500. I know I put in personally 1 day of 38 hours straight. I actually sent Jimmie a text. I said, "Man, I've seen 648 3 times today, and I haven't been to bed yet." And what we have, I think, above everybody else is just desire and dedication to go out and win races. And when you have a group of guys and gals that, I mean, we've got 500 plus employees at Hendrick Motorsports, and when they all want to go out and win races, and you put guys like this behind the seat, you're going to see magic happen.
Let's go to Mark Garrow right here, please, Andrew, and then to Mike Massaro, and then we'll go to press box and come back downstairs.
Mark Arrow, PRN. Jimmie, were you surprised at the end as you started taking that inside lineup through there? I kept waiting for somebody, Biffle, Danica, people running second, third, or fourth to drop down in front and let you, kind of push them along. Were you surprised nobody jumped down in front of you and made you push as opposed to let you just keep leading that line straight to the front?
Which there at the last restart? Or
Second play.
when I was stuck on the inside lane down there, yeah. I mean, everybody was just playing the odds, and the majority of the competitors wanted to run the top, and the draft really works in numbers, and there's more there than the bottom, and with the side drafting being as effective right now, you could really choke down the bottom lane and pin a guy against the line and slow him down and then get away and have that long line of cars to surge you past. So the game's changed a little bit. It used to be defend the bottom, and right now it's defend the top. And in the closing laps, when we were all single file and I was leading, I just wanted to see what would go on with the middle or the bottom and not allow guys to really set me up based on my lines. And I ran the bottom and no one really had a run or did anything. So it was an interesting race. Learned a lot through the course of the race with the new Gen 6 car. And at the end, when it was time to go, I knew that we had a straight race car with no scratches on it. And we worked real hard. We had a game plan down here the whole time. And every practice session, even though we were in single car drafts, we had an agenda and things that we worked on. And we made the car a little bit better each day. Learned a little bit more about it and kept perfecting it. And I had one heck of a race car today.
Let's go to Mike Massaro, then we'll go to press box. Go ahead, Mike.
Jimmie, first off, congratulations on the win. Want to ask you about kind of a sidebar story that comes out of this race. Danica Patrick made more history today, becoming the first woman ever to lead a Daytona 500. What impressed you the most about the way she ran this race, and what do you think this does for the sport?
Well, she's really comfortable in the car and being close to other competitors door to door. Whatever environment takes place on the racetrack, she at these speeds, she was very comfortable, held a great wheel, and was smooth and predictable. Took advantage of runs when she had them. Did a really good job, and it was just a car on the track. I didn't think about it being Danica in the car. It was just another car on the racetrack that was fast. So, that's credit to her and the job she's doing. I think the style of racetrack really suits her. We get into the other tracks, she has a tall learning curve ahead of her, but she continues to show her ability to drive race cars, and made history today and in fine fashion, too.
Let's go up to the press box, please, for questions, and then we'll come back downstairs. Go ahead.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jimmie, with Danica and with Harvick dominating early, do you feel like maybe that you flew under the radar, farther under the radar into this race and even well into it than you have in some years? And if so, did you like that?
I didn't really think too much about it. In other years, I've been down here so focused on the pole and caught up in the media and the buzz that surrounds that, or being in the top 5. But as time goes on, I mean, that's just one. It's a nice week to enjoy after you win the pole, but it just doesn't mean much for the race. So, in my mind, I didn't feel like I was under the radar. I felt like we were working hard to put the best product on the track. I had a good run in the Unlimited until we crashed, and then the duel. I thought we were very competitive there, and it was a sign of things to come. So. I guess I was quiet in the overall spectrum of things in the media side, but inside the garage, I think people knew that we were sitting on a lot of speed and had a very good race car.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Congratulations, guys. Motorsports has been known for streaks or dominance, and yours, I know you're hoping to repeat it and exceed it, the 5 years of championships. But after 2 years of struggling here, I was wondering, any little tiny bit of a doubt saying, can we regain that? And certainly you've been competitive and won many races in the last 2 years, but aiming at a championship, any doubts creeping in, and how do you overcome that?
Doubts on the championship or on plate racing?
Championship. The plate racing just coming here.
Plate racing, no. I mean, it's like playing the lottery. Everybody's got a ticket, and when the 83 car is up there running, 5th or 6th in their race in the closing laps, just shows you how equal the cars are and what the draft does. So I just, I've struck out a lot at these tracks and left with torn up race cars. And today we had a clean day. I didn't doubt our ability to win. I was just frustrated with circumstances and frustrated with plate racing. And this will buy me a smile for, I'm sure, the rest of the year on the plate tracks.
Okay, to follow up, 5 more races to go. Good start. How do you look at this now, looking ahead to the rest of the season?
Definitely a great start for the team. When we were sitting discussing things before the season started, we felt good about the 500, but we're really excited for everything after the 500. So I'm very hopeful and excited that our 48 car will be really fast in Phoenix and Vegas and moving forward. So I think it's going to be a very strong year for us.
Go ahead, press box, and we'll go downstairs. One more in the press box. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Don Coble with Morris News Service. Jimmy, can you try to explain? You said that on the last lap you backed up to the people behind you. Greg said he backed up. Junior said he backed up. I thought the whole thing was to try to go forward.
Well, the way our cars work, there's more help from someone pushing you than somebody towing you along. And been mentioned and talked about a little bit this weekend, that spring, or some guys call it a beach ball effect. But when the front bumper gets close to a rear bumper of a car, it's very tough to make contact with the car. There's this bubble in there that shoots that guy ahead. And if we've learned over the years, if you ride the brake and help the car catching you, break through that little bubble and make contact with you, there's more energy in that than that bubble effect. So closing laps, usually when we wreck, and why we wreck, is drag the brake, wait for some contact. Sometimes the contact isn't in the right spot, or maybe it's a little too hard, starts wreck. But that's the game everybody plays. I didn't pull back on the 16 at all. It seemed to me that everybody that's won down here, the leader was in pretty good shape. So I was looking closely at the 16, waiting for him to come with a run. And then Earl said that the 88 had the run. And last I looked, he was 4th or 5th. And I thought that was great because he's probably going to stall it next to the 16, and I was going to be up there all by myself in the lead and make it back. He did have a big enough run that he got by the 16, but I just knew he didn't have enough closing rate to get to my outside and do anything with me, and I felt real good about things kind of off of turn 4.
One more in the press box, then we'll go to Jenna. Go ahead. Nate, I think, has one.
Yes, sir. Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. For Jimmy, kind of following up on what Ed was asking about being under the radar. Usually, like in the old style of restrictor plate racing, there would be, a harrowing moment or a defining moment, I guess, during the race where you knew a guy was going to win, or you could tell who had a dominant car, like leading in the weekend. And it seemed like this year with the new car and everything, the eradication of tandem drafting, everything seeming so different, and practice being limited because guys weren't practicing after the multi-car crashes. It just seemed like, and then today the racing seemed so much different. It was hard to kind of pick out who was strongest. It just didn't seem like there was ever a feel that somebody was going to emerge. Did you have a defining moment, I guess, like over the last week, or was there a time when you knew you could win this race either today or say any time from like 10 days ago to now?
You know, the rules package has the cars so close that it is tough to tell. Even inside the race cars on the track, one of the practice, I guess the duel. It was a duel. I climbed out of the car, and Chad and I debriefed after, and I told him we didn't have much speed. And he's like, "Man, from what I saw, you looked as good as anyone, if not better than anyone." So, from Chad and I in our relationship, I couldn't tell, and it's the same for yourself. You've been watching the sport a long time. The rules have the car very close on speed, and throughout the week, what I looked for was cars that could hang on to the draft. If they were the last car in line and didn't lose the draft, that was a fast car. That was one of the only indications that I could really consistently say was key. And we found ourselves in that position a lot and never lost the draft. So, but for me, the defining moment in the race, I think, was the caution coming out and the 48 being ahead of the 2. As I look back on it, that gave me lane choice and really control of the race in the closing laps.
Come back downstairs. Jenna has a question. I believe Tom Jensen and Randy Kovitz, and then we'll get to the other ones. Go ahead, Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Jimmie, I don't know, maybe I'm reaching on this, but on those there at the end of the race, you're lining up against Brad. You lose the championship to him last year. Any extra motivation to go and get the 500 and beat him? And also, after going 2 years without winning a championship, to start a year with a Daytona 500 victory, is that any, like, are you able to take any sense of or any ability to just kind of stick it to everybody and say, hey, I'm back, I'm here, look out, I'm coming back?
No, I don't think we really went anywhere in the garage areas. You know, they're wise to all that. I mean, we had great speed and pace last year, and definitely in championship form, and had 2 bad races at the end. So, you know, I'm just enjoying this moment. This is a one-of-a-kind race, in the rush that follows and the notoriety that follows is great for all of us. Chad, Rick, the company, Lowe's, Chevrolet. So it's just time to sit back and enjoy, because when we pull on the gates at Phoenix next weekend, it's a totally different game, as we all know. And we'll enjoy this rush, and I'm sure if there's some down points through the year, we'll look back on this race and still smile again. But as far as racing with Brad out there, you really lose sight of who's in what car. It's just somebody between you and the trophy. So it could have been any car. I knew that the 2 had some damage and wasn't going to be really fast. So that's the only thing I thought about regarding the 2, is that he had some damage, and hopefully I could get by him with the clean race car that I had.
Let's go to Tom Jensen, then we'll go to Randy Kovitz, Viv Bernstein.
Tom Jensen, Speed.com. Congratulations, guys. Jimmie, you just said that you were aware the 2 had front-end damage, but it seemed like it took you a long time to get by him. Were you just sort of biding your time, or were you surprised that he was as fast as he was with that nose so torn up?
No, I was desperately wanting to get by him or get up in that outside lane. You know, the numbers, again, are everything in the draft, and there were far more cars lined up in that outside lane than in the inside. And who was behind us? They had a hard time with this yellow car. Denny? Oh, yeah, it was Denny. I think the 9 was there at one point, but
yeah, you took this.
It was just so hard to make up time on the bottom because there was fewer cars. And I was hanging on, side drafting, doing all that I could to hang on to the 2 when I was close to him, and the 16. And the caution truthfully fell at a good time for us, right when we surged ahead, and that allowed me to get to that outside lane on the decision, on the driver's choice for which lane he wanted.
Let's go to Randy. You're good? All right.
I mean, was that kind of the way things went, or?
No, I mean, I ran second to 5th all day, really. But you had such a small opportunity of time to get something done. You had a restart, and that would shuffle around for 3 laps, and then we're all in line. Coming to pit road, our Chad's strategy when we pitted, the guys and what they did on pit road was great, and we'd always advance and make up spots. We got the lead as a result of 1. So, you know, we're just riding, but once things at single file, it'd be foolish to pull out because you'd get back in line in 35th or something. So you just kind of hold your spot.
We'll go Viv, Marty, Al Pierce. Go ahead, Viv.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. Jimmie, I know it's awfully early, but the last time a new race car was introduced in '07, Hendrick and you were strong right away. And I guess I look at this and I wonder, you know, are you guys just maybe a little bit ahead of the rest? Is this a sign, or is it too early to say that maybe you have something? Because you're awfully confident about what's coming as well.
It is a little early yet. And once we get a downforce race or two behind us, we'll have a much better understanding. But, you know, I have great confidence because I know how hard Chad works, and I know the tools and the commitment that Rick has and gives us, and how hard everybody works at our shop. So I feel really good about it. We've had great test sessions. And again, we felt like we'd have a shot at this race, but we're really excited for the races to come. But it is a little early. You know, maybe after Vegas, Bristol, we can see which team has the upper hand.
Let's go over here to Marty. Let's go to Marty, Al Pierce, and Jay, and then the gentleman over here. Go ahead.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Over to your right, buddy.
Way over.
Obviously, it feels fantastic to do this. What does it mean to you that so many of your competitors come into victory lane to congratulate you in a moment like that? And what does it mean to you to spend those types of moments with your family?
It means a lot. I mean, that hits me deep. You know, we race against one another and do some awful things to each other out on the track as competitors, but it's the ultimate nod, you know, for another guy to come in, if he's a Hendrick driver or not. You know, Brad came by, and Ryan came by, Mears came by, Gordon, Junior, Kane. You know, it's really cool. It means a lot to me. You know, I'm one of the few racers out there that is concerned about friendships and relationships, and I have a lot of friends out there on that track, and I'm proud of that. And then I'm also proud to have my family here. Shani and Evie mean the world to me, and Shani's been by my side and supporting me and letting me focus on my job and do all that I need to be a part of this race team. And you know, I win, and our family wins, and to have that moment in victory lane is very special too.
Let's go to Jay Busby. Right over here, raise your hand, Jay. I'm sorry, then we'll go to Al. My fault, Al. We'll go Jay and then Al.
Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. This is a question for Jimmy and Chad, but maybe more for Chad. You're about to go through an entire gauntlet of publicity and all kinds of things that will have nothing to do with racing. How much room are you going to give Jimmy to enjoy this before you haul back in to get ready for Phoenix?
He'll have, well, I already know he's got appearances tomorrow morning, and then he's got to go to New York and do some stuff there, but he's got to stop in Charlotte on the way. And then Tuesday we'll have a debrief, and then I'm pretty sure Thursday we're on track with the Nationwide car. So he's going to be pretty busy. We've got that's the thing that's difficult about our sport. You know, you've got to move on relatively quickly and put the good things and the bad things behind you. So that goes both ways. But Jimmy does a very good job of balancing that out. And you know, he's going to have some serious obligations with all of you from a media standpoint, but he'll be on point when it comes time for Phoenix.
Let's go to Al Pierce.
Ted, Al Pierce from Auto Week. I'm not sure what we thought we were going to see down here, but after hearing all about the Gen 6 car and how it was going to do this and that and the other thing, for much of the day it was just single file, parade style until the very end. Is this race so different that this car eventually will be very good at other places and may not be good here, or are we expecting too much?
No, I think the cars are sensitive to side drafting, and that is some of what we saw. But when we're running single file, we're just trying to get to the finish. You know, we've all crashed so many times and torn up so much stuff that a lot of that falls on the driver's shoulders. And you know, I feel for NASCAR. They're trying to create a very competitive car, and they want us side by side. The fans want us side by side. But you know, and there's a few guys willing to race, and the spotters were all talking, and I'd get word that 3 or 4 guys wanted to jump out of line. They're tired of riding. But I'm like, they better get some more friends, because 4 of us, 5 of us isn't going to do a thing against 30-something cars. So I just believe a lot of the competitors just wanted to get to that last pit stop on and race for it at that point instead of tearing up their equipment.
On that point, I'd just like to add, there was a lot of stories going on other than just the racing on the track. Racing's more than just side-by-side and crashing. If you go back and you look, there were different pit strategies, there were ways that guys took the lead on pit road from other teams, whether it be a 2-tire or 4-tire strategy, spending less time on pit road. The race was actually pretty good if you go back and you look in the nuts and bolts of it. Just because you're not running side-by-side doesn't mean it's a bad race.
Let's go to this gentleman over here, and then we'll go up to the press box. Go ahead.
Thanks. Peter King with CBS Radio News. Over here on your left. And congratulations first to all of you, and for Jimmie, and in the best layman's terms, because maybe the casual fans don't understand how difficult it is to do what you guys do out there. They see it on TV; it's a TV show for many of them, but they don't understand how difficult it is. Is it particularly hard to win here at Daytona, and if so, why? Thank you.
Yeah, it's about as tough as it gets here. The draft in the way you race here and at Talladega is much different than anywhere else. It takes vehicles around you to create opportunities to pass, and you can't do it alone. So it's far different than any other racing we do. And when you put us here at the biggest race in the Daytona 500, everybody brings their A game, and it's the most difficult race to win.
Upstairs, press box, please.
Jimmie, Michael Vega, Boston Globe, congratulations. And just wanted to ask you to put this in some kind of historical perspective. I don't know if you're able to do that at this moment, but you winning in your 400th career start, you joined an illustrious list of drivers who have also done that. Lee Petty, Richard Petty, David Pearson, Dale Earnhardt. Can you talk about what that means to you to have accomplished that feat?
Yeah, I had no clue about that. Just to hear those names and my name in that sentence is pretty awesome. The history side's hard for me because, one, I don't know these stats, and happy to hear about them, though. And I'm still in the sport, still competing, and not in that mental space to reflect back all that much, but I am so proud to be in that same category with those guys and feel that I have a lot of years left, and I certainly hope to make more history and do other cool things within the sport. But it's a huge honor. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Anytime you're mentioned with those greats, it's a huge honor.
I believe I saw the hand for one more. Get the young lady back in the back over here.
Switching to a new car. This is Donna Beth Wildman from Benicia Herald. Switching to a new car. How hard is it? How long does it take you to discover the setups that you think are going to work? And some people have mentioned that it's a lot like it was about 8 to 10 years ago. Are you finding any of the numbers you used to have useful this year?
We never stop learning. Something's always evolving and changing, and just when you think whatever mindset has become extinct in whatever setup, it's never going to be in a race car again, a guy finds a way to make it work once again, and we see this happen all the time. So this car is introducing some very old school thought and tools to be used on the race car. So nothing's really ever gone. It always seems to find its way back into the sport, and we'll learn all year and even past that.